Hello my friends, I see you today for a tutorial about how to color crystals with colored pencils. I make this tutorial in Magical Dawn. This is the page of February for our challenge Let's Color Magical Dawn Together. #Colorions ensemble Magical Dawn. In her book, Colorist Special Effect Volume 1, Helen Elliston explains how to make crystals. I had never made crystals before today, and look at that! Very easily I managed to make crystals quite realistic. So I will show you right away how to do it. And in the info box, of course, I will give you the link to the Colorist Special Effect book, in which I found the explanations to make realistic crystals like these. You'll see it's really simple. What do we need? For blue crystals, for example, we need 2 shades of blue, a medium blue. Here I took the phthalo blue from Polychromos and a dark blue. I took the dark indigo from Polychromos, but you can take these 2 shades of blue obviously in any range of pencil. I also add a little bit of black, and I need a white pencil. I used a Derwent drawing, but if you have a Luminance or a Polychromos or a Prismacolor or any white pencil, it's okay, of course. We also need a thin eraser, for example the Tombow Mono 0. You can also use the Derwent electric eraser. If you use a new tip, it will have the same effect. And we also need a little bit of white Posca. So let's go. I will show you right away how we proceed. The principle that Helen Elliston explains in her book is that we have 3 shades of blue according to the sides. The side of the crystal which is exposed to the light has a very light blue. The side here in the middle has a medium blue, and the side which is on the opposite side from the light has a dark blue. So I'm going to show you here on this crystal, which has only 2 sides. Like that you understand the principle. So here we are on the side which is far from the light. I use a very intense color, and once I get to the top, I fade it out. I press less and less my pencil until it's almost white. And on the side which is exposed to the light, I apply only a very thin layer here and a little bit on the edge here to mark the edge of the crystal. Then, to blend, we can either use white or what I like to use is the Cloud Blue from Prismacolor, the 1023, because precisely it does not have a small yellow tint in it. Most of the white pencils that I know have all a slight yellow tint in them, and so I think that it just turns my blue a little yellowish and I don't like it. So I take the Cloud Blue from Prismacolor. You can see here I make a simple gradient with a single blue, and I'm just going to accentuate this gradient now. I'm using indigo blue to darken here the bottom. And I darken also with my medium blue the bottom of the side exposed to the light. And I blend again with my Cloud Blue to have pretty and very intense colors. The second step is to make small, lighter pieces in your crystal. You can either use a Tombow Mono 0 eraser. You can make small scratches in your crystal with your eraser, or you can also use your Derwent electric eraser with a new tip. So you use the edge of the eraser to do something precise, like I'm doing here. Change the orientation of the eraser from time to time so that your lines do not all go in the same direction. And then, in other places than the one where you erased, you make like small scratches with a darker pencil. In the darker parts, I take indigo blue, and in the lighter parts, I make small scratches that start from the edge, and I scribble a little with my phthalo blue. I use the black in the darker parts. If I've made a line a little too big with my eraser, it's not a problem. I just reduce it with my pencil. It's now that the Posca comes into play. With the Posca, I slightly cover the lines on the first half of the crystal. And Ellen Elliston tells us that it's necessary to erase the vertical lines only on the first half of the crystal with an oblique line, like that. That's to say, you put white a little bit here, a little bit lower here, and even lower here. Personally, I don't like that the white comes directly into black, so my technique is that I go to the bottom with the Posca, and the part that must stay more in the shade, I will cover it with pencil afterwards, when the Posca will be dry. Once you have done that, you add small white triangles randomly on your crystal, close to the edges, like this. And then you can add in the upper half, said Ellen Elliston, you can add small dots or small lines. Personally, I also put some below, but I will simply cover them with pencil so that they appear less. Now we just have to let it dry, and then I will go back with pencil on the lines of Posca. So during that time, I will make with you the second blue crystal here. I use my phthalo blue that I fade upwards. And I use it much lighter on the exposed part here. It should be almost white with a little bit of blue reflections. I use my cloud blue to blend all this. A little indigo blue to darken the part that is in the shade. I blend with my phthalo blue. And I darken the bottom of this side. If you have a crystal with 3 edges, we will make one right after, there is no problem, you just use 3 shades of blue instead of 2. Here I add a little bit of black to increase the contrast, and I will even add a little indigo blue here, since the crystal is behind the other, and so it makes sense that it is a little bit darker. Now let's work the shadows. I blend the shadows with my phthalo blue. Back to my Derwent eraser, I make small scratches in the crystal, irregularly and a little bit everywhere. Then I just scribble a few small lines here and there. Once I have done that, I will erase according to Ellen Elliston the edges of the first half, and in my opinion, I erase everything, and I will immediately afterwards cover with the pencil. I will show you this on the first crystal as soon as I have finished this one. And I add small triangles here and there along the edges. Be careful not to draw them in the same angle. If you add one on this edge, do not add a symmetrical one on the other side. It must be seen that the face of the crystal is not in the same direction. So change the angle of your little triangle, like this, for example. And then we add small dots, lines, like scratches. If you put several tiny dots next to each other, it makes a shiny aspect. We can also put a star, but I keep this effect for the bigger crystals. I come back here to the first one since it's just dry. On the part where Helen Elliston tells us not to erase the black lines, I erase them, but I come back on them with a pencil. First the phthalo blue. Then I take the darker for the lower part, and I think it's much more natural than suddenly going from a white line to a black line. What is important to do when you have crystals that are one behind the other is to accentuate the shadow, here between two crystals, with indigo blue or with black. It depends a little on the shade you have on the other side, so that the crystals appear in 3 dimensions. You see that very quickly we have a really interesting effect without difficulty. It's pretty easy to make crystals like that, and I think they really look gorgeous, so thank you Helen Elliston for this nice tutorial in your Colorist Special Effect book. I added the other book's Colorist Special Effect on my wishlist. If you want to take a look, I give the link of my wishlist in the info box. I will make crystals with you in other colors to show you. It's the same technique. And so I will show you crystals with more than 2 sides. I will also show you how to make the red crystals here below, which are slightly different because they do not have the same shape. But I apply the same principle. I'll put on a little music for you while I show you that, and I'll see you at the end of the tutorial to show you the finished page. And here we are, my friends, we have finished this tutorial about how to make crystals. You can see that with very simple color combos, 2 colors plus white and black, or sometimes 3 or 4 colors, you can really create crystals in any color you want. You can use as well Prismacolor as Polychromos as any other brand. Just do simple gradients the way I explained to you in this video. If you liked this tutorial, please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any of my next videos. And I'll see you very soon for other tutorials. Until then, have fun and happy colorings! Bye!